Hey friend, welcome back to this episode of Monday Fire. And this is one where I'm going to talk real quickly about just being good enough, like doing things good enough. Related, I want to talk about perfectionism real quick because I coach a ton of creative entrepreneurs. So creative entrepreneurs are people that are generally, they're doing things with their hands. So they are making cupcakes, they're making jewelry, they're decorating houses. I have a ton of people who are doing painting professionally, and or even if not professionally, but painting candlesticks and putting them for sale on Facebook Marketplace and all of the things. And so most of the people that I am coaching are also trying to do tutorials and give instructions to people and start monthly groups where they teach people how to do what they do. And what I've noticed is that so often creative people will really get in the weeds. By the way, it's an industry term for getting stuck. They'll be in the weeds because they're trying to get things perfect. And what I've noticed is that there's a tendency sometimes for people to wear that, but I just want to get it perfect, almost like with a badge of honor. So let's talk about this. Okay. Number one, that's precious that you want things to be perfect, regardless of if you're a creative, regardless of if you are you're not even in business for yourself. You're just trying to wonder when you should start a family and you're waiting for the perfect time. You are thinking you're supposed to be moving to another city, but you're waiting for the perfect time. And so because you're a perfectionist, like you're not starting and you're not doing the thing that you probably sense that you should be doing, you yourself want you to do. Maybe you've heard from the Lord, this is what you're supposed to do, but because you're trying to get it perfect, you literally are not going forth. You're making zero progress. And so sometimes my creative people, they will almost wear this as a badge of honor because they're like, I just want to put out the best product into the world. Okay. All right. Listen, first of all, that's lovely. But the majority of the time, that is not actually what's happening. They are stalling at putting anything out into the world because they're going to use and mask their fear of failure or their fear of success with that, but I just want to get it really perfect because people deserve the best. And so I just really want to challenge your thinking today. If you're someone who is waiting until everything looks perfect, circumstances are perfect, you know enough for things to be perfect, you've painted that piece perfect enough, the website looks perfect enough. If you're waiting on a perfect time, a perfect situation, a perfect set of any circumstances, I will let you know that that is never going to happen on this side of heaven. Like, I'm just like, no more, you don't even need to listen to this podcast any further. You've got exactly what you needed. Now go ahead and just click off and go do the thing that God told you to do. Because that, and the bottom line is that there is no perfect situation on this side of heaven. While we are here on earth, the Lord said we will have troubles. Not everything, not all of our ducks will be lined up in a row. And most of us don't even have ducks anyway. We have this crazy variety of like chickens and hens and birds and things that want to look like ducks and talk like ducks, but they don't, etc. And so this I want things to be perfect is really stifling so many precious people. And I'm going to say women, since like 99.9% of you who are listening to me are female. It's keeping you stuck. It's keeping you comparing, because while you're trying to get it perfect and the perfect time and all the things, you're looking at your best friend, Rachel, who they just bought a new house and the timing was obviously perfect for them. And you're waiting on the new timing, but you're thinking it's never going to be new timing because all of a sudden the car needs new tires and you want to start a family. And your friend Lisa, like she's got the perfect timing and they just had their second baby and the spacing is perfect, but you're wondering when you should do it because you're kind of thinking about starting a business. But if you're going to start a business, then maybe you shouldn't get pregnant. And this is where we get stuck. This is where we end up going into like this cycling where we are just spinning, and we're using the mask of I want everything to be perfect because we're scared. And so, friend, I want to encourage you today. If you're waiting on perfection, never going to happen, first of all. And number two, it's keeping you small. It's keeping you stuck. It's making you compare, and it is not serving you at all. I had a call with all of my inner circle women today, and I was telling them, if you have something that you feel like you're supposed to be putting out into the world, or you feel like God's really wanting you to do, sometimes it's us, sometimes it's him. Both are good, by the way. Both are good. We serve a God who it doesn't have, every single thing doesn't have to be stamped off and signed off on from him, because he's a loving father. So he gives us choices. So Jen, he doesn't care necessarily about every single detail. Like sometimes he allows us to do things because he's a loving father, and we're waiting for him to give us the answer on every detail. And a lot of times anymore, when I've prayed about it and I'll say, God, do you want me to do X or Y? And God has literally, I have heard the voice in my head, like, Jen, you pick either one. Either one's going to work. Either one's going to be fine. And then I'm like, no, Lord, you decide for me, because so often we don't want to be responsible for the decisions we make. So let's say you have a product that you want to put out in the world. You've got no checks in your spirit. You feel like God's okay if you do it. You haven't seen any reason why you should not. Okay, so let's say that's where you're currently at. Then you need to get it out into the world ASAP, even if it's not perfect, because, and this is what I was telling my group, there is a possibility that you have something that someone coming up behind you needs. And every day that you're not offering it to that person who needs what you have, you are literally stealing from them. Now listen, I know this is a tough concept, and some of you are going to write me hate mail. That's okay. We can agree to disagree. We're all good. If you've got something that people in the world need, and you're like, nope, it's not good enough. It's just not good enough. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And so you're waiting to put it out in the world. You're waiting to put it out in the world. You're waiting to put it out in the world until it gets good enough. When the girl coming up behind you, she just needs it to be good enough. She doesn't need to be perfect. She needs to know just a few things of what you can teach her. She just needs to know a little bit more than she does today. You want to teach her all the things, and she's like, no, I just need a little bit of it. So every day you don't offer that to her. I want you to reframe how you think about it. And I want you to see that you could in fact be stealing from her. Because here's the example I used. I was telling my group that when I needed a business coach 5 or 6 years ago, I'm so grateful that I found one. Had the woman that I found who coached me been like, you know what, I'm not offering any business coaching because it's not perfect yet. It's not perfect yet. It's not perfect yet. Then there's no way that I could have found the coaching that I needed for my business to grow like it had. So my business would not have grown to the size that it is at the speed with which it has had I not found her for such a time as that. And so it literally could have stolen finances. It could have stolen time and energy from me. Like, I'm so grateful I found what I needed when I did for my business. So I want you to consider if what you have, if someone in the world is needing that, but you're not offering it, are you too maybe almost stealing from them what they need? You're withholding it, if nothing else. It was the girl I was talking to on the Inner Circle call today. She's in health and wellness. And I'm like, friend, you know things. And the people coming up behind you, they need for you to offer that. They need a piece of your knowledge. You think that what you know and have to offer is so basic and everybody should know this because you're knee deep in that industry. Those of us who are not in health and wellness, we don't all know it. And you put your particular piece and stamp and personality on it that nobody else in the industry can do because they're not you. Please offer it. The course, the membership group, the DIY video, the whatever, at a good enough status. I heard a woman once say, offer it, be okay with producing B- work. Now listen, this is not a license to produce crap. But this is permission to say it does not need to be perfect, friend. And the truth is it's never going to be. And you're stalling. You're stalling and you're stalling. And I love you. And the world needs what you have right now, regardless of if it's good enough, regardless if you think it's okay, regardless of it's perfect. But you are literally taking from your own future and from others when you keep trying to get it to a place of perfection, which it's never really going to get to anyway. So friend, listen, I encourage you right now, I give you permission to just start with what you know. Start with where you're at today. It'll get better. It won't be B- stuff forever. You'll perfect it. You're going to learn so much when you put whatever you have to offer out into the world. But the world needs what you have. And even if the world doesn't even need what you have, maybe the Lord just needs your obedience. You never know who or what is on the other side of your obedience. My pastor says that all the time, and I love it. You never know who or what is on the other side of your obedience. So I encourage you today to get started doing the thing that you know that you're supposed to do. I hope that this was helpful for someone. If so, will you put a screenshot here? Will you tag me on your Instagram story so that I see it? That's the best way to communicate with me. Until next week, friends, be blessed. Bye-bye.